That's good. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Infinite Crypto Cruisers. Bitcoin is sitting at $113,485. That is a beautiful sight to be seeing this morning. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Good morning, Vanish. How you doing today, brother? Hope you are doing fantastic. Good morning, Mr. Dave P. Good to see you. Good morning, Nay and Jonah. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you guys are all having an incredible week. We got ourselves a little bit of an upswing in the market today, huh? Good morning, Critical 328. Good morning, Sean Crypto 5. Hope everybody is doing fantastic today. So, what does this all mean? Well, it means that we could go up and we could go down. That's the beautiful thing about crypto. And unfortunately, I don't think anybody knows for sure. And if there is somebody that knows for sure, it's because they're manipulating the heck out of things. And that's the only way that you could 100% know for sure what the move is. I can tell you this, though. Looking at Crypto Lifer Sam Price, he just took a long-term swing on the daily. His target is 124,000. His stop loss is at 105,944. And he invested $1,800 for a $12,000 profit. So I don't know exactly what leverage that was. He doesn't say exactly the kind of leverage. It does show here. I'm trying to see too what the actual price of Bitcoin was when he took the trade. It doesn't show here the exact price of Bitcoin. So it's a little bit hard to know if it's something that you would want to copy or not. But I guess my point is kind of looking through the Crypto Lifer Discord this morning is I think that there's a little bit of bullishness. I think that there's, one of the common themes that, that he talked about, this morning is on the altcoins. He showed several different altcoins that basically had this, this flag where he was looking at them to make some nice runs up. So, there's quite a few different tokens in here. One of the ones that stuck out to me, Solana. Dave, I know that you are a big fan of Solana. I mean, we're talking here like this is a pretty momentous, little chart that he's got going here with it running all the way up to, 250 and then shooting potentially all the way up to 505. The other one that caught my, like Aerodrome is another one that we've looked at a lot on this channel. Watching this right now with it down at around $1 and looking for it to potentially shoot up to, look up, moving up towards $2.42. And then the other one that really caught my eye is Polygon. And this is, that doesn't make sense. That's only a 5% move there. That looked like a massive move, but he's talking about it going from 20 cents to 21 cents. That's not very exciting in the grand scheme of things. I thought that looked better, but my point is a lot of the altcoins that he is looking at all have this similar, similar to this. He even says right here, like alts look like this. BNB USDT looking like it could bounce off this low. But if we get up here just a little bit further, I want to, right here, if Bitcoin can keep the momentum, we will get some altcoin pumps. if Bitcoin dumps, most altcoins will dump. Well, that's no secret. That's a fairly normal situation to have happen. But at the same time, he says right here, 90% of alts are in a flag on the 15-minute. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that depending on your risk tolerance, your capital situation, your desire to preserve capital, your desire to, get out there and put some capital at risk, it might be time to do a little trading. It's really hard to say, guys. Like, as a YouTuber, somebody that's coming on here wants to sound intelligent, wants to give you guys, solid direction. Right now is one of the crazier times in cryptocurrency where the feeling of I just don't know is pretty prevalent. I have a very strong, belief in the outcome over the next 2, 3, 4 to 6 months. I believe that between now and the end of March of next year, there's going to be some incredible things in crypto. Bitcoin will break its previous all-time high again, in my opinion, and hopefully run up to, 175 to 200. I believe we're going to get some beautiful moves in the altcoins. I mean, I can't wrap my mind around the altcoin market staying anywhere like this. BNB has had a decent little run. I mean, I think that during this bull market, bear market, if we go out and we look at, BNB, even say for 1 year here, we can see where BNB, touched down here at, $500. So it's about a 2x or so. I think if we go out max and then we look back, let's see where we're at here. So if we go 2023, so we can see, all the way back in September of 2023, BNB was down around $200. That looks like about the low during this cycle was right around this $200 range. So BNB has had a 6x. That's respectable, but nowhere near like melt your face off altcoin season. Another one is Solana. Now, Solana has been one of the best performing tokens in the whole bull market because it got slaughtered so badly during the last bear market. During the old FTX and Celsius and all of that, this thing is showing here at $13, $12. I believe, I could have swore that it went as low as like $7 or $8 at one point in time. But if you take, here from $9, we're talking about a 20x, and I think it's been, up as high as 293. So that's, at its peak, you could have gotten about a 29x. That's respectable. That's a little bit more like what we should be seeing in the altcoin market. But I mean, Ripple is another somewhat of an outlier here. Ripple at 252 is probably, I think there was some times when it was down around 25 to 35 cents. So you could have, 10x your Ripple. But other than those, I mean, there ain't a whole lot of great things going on in the market. I think if we look at Cardano here and we go back out, we can see Cardano, down at 25 cents, and now it's at 68 cents. So it's done less than a 3x. That is not altcoin season. 3x is not altcoin season. Same thing. We can look at, like Chainlink. Chainlink is one of the best tokens out there. I believe, like if you wanted to hold a token for 10, 20, 30 years and have the potential to just, like, if you wanted to buy something today and forget about it and wake up in 10, 20, 30 years to a massive amount of gains, Chainlink is one of the tokens. Yet here we are, if we look, Here we are in 2023. It went all the way down to $6. So it's at 3x. Once again, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with 3x in the traditional world, but 3x for these altcoins is not a great spot. And then if you go like the one that we were just looking at, Polygon, I mean, this is, well, you know, like, look at this, Polkadot, $3.17. That's basically, look at it. I mean, that's basically the lowest of the lows. I mean, try to find another time where Polkadot was worth less than it is right now at $3.17. I mean, even way back when it launched, you know, way back in 2020, it launched to $2.94 and went up rapidly. It's peaked out as at high at over $50, and it's right now it's $3. I don't want to, you know, give too many examples. I think you all have seen this yourself, but very, very few tokens. You know, you got Hedera here at 18, but even if we look back, you know, at Hedera, if we go back to right in here, this is December of 2022. It was, you know, 4.4 cents. So it's done, you know, a little over a 4x. That's not bull market altcoin kind of moves. And then probably one of the worst tokens this last, you know, 4 or 5 years that I believe has the potential to be one of the best is Polygon. You know, we were just looking at it. You know, Polygon, well, this is the wrong chart. This only goes back to October of 2023 because of it's POL instead of Matic. If we look at, I wonder if we can even pull up Matic anymore. That's the X one here. If we look at this one, this is preview only. Let's try, I think if we type in poll, we can get both of them. Yeah, they don't even, yeah, they've finished the migration. You can't even see the old one anymore. But, you know, long story short, Polygon at 20 cents is got to be one of the worst performing altcoins in the whole cycle. Like, this is below most of the bear market prices. I mean, you can see here, this goes back to October of 2023. So we're talking October 2024. This is 2 years. 2 years ago, this thing was sitting at 69 cents. And if you look here, the last part of this chart, I mean, that is pretty anemic. One of the reasons that I like Polygon, one of my favorite tokens to trade, is like if you just go to this bump right here, this was $1.23. Just this bump right here was 79 cents. So this thing has, you know, 20, 25, 30, 35 to 40x just to get to these low bumps. Its all-time high was almost $3. So it has almost 100, well, it has over 100x to, or excuse me, not over 100x. My math ain't so great today. 3.5x to get to 70 cents and a 6x to get to 20 to $1.20, and it's got about a 15x to get back to its previous all-time high. But that's still, you know, a beautiful spot to be in when you are on a leveraged trade. Oh man, I don't think I'm logged into anything right now. Let's double check. Maybe no, that wants me to log in. Let's go to, there we go. So if we bring up BYDFi, let me hop over onto my cell phone here really quick and check something out. We have, let's see what we got going on here. So as I mentioned, I think I pretty much logged out. I got out of all of my bigger trades. I cashed them out. I did stick around in my smaller trades, and unfortunately, I got liquidated. These were trades that I had set up before the trader live stream last week. And so one of the things that I talked about last week is I knew that 10x leverage was probably a little too aggressive for where we were at in the market, but it was relatively small trades. I still probably should have done something different with them, but I didn't. But my point is here, sorry guys, where, what's the deal here? Do we got, oh, for goodness sakes, I'm logged out there too. Logged out of everything everywhere. So what I was going to say is, if you are looking to get into some trades, if you think that this uptrend is going to continue, then my advice would be to take some of the tokens that we just talked about, the Solanas, the XRPs, the Solanas, the Cardanos, Polkadot, Hedera, Polygon. Take some of those tokens and just do, like a 3x leverage, which would give you an opportunity to you can always move your leverage up. You can always add to your position as time goes by. One of the favorite things that we talked about when we had Crypto Bullseye on the show, and one of the things that I really liked about his strategy was the fact that, he kind of taught me and taught, you guys at the same time. Maybe you guys already knew, but I wasn't really I never opened a trade and then added to it on its way up. I never opened a trade at 3x leverage and then, moved it up to 5x leverage, 10x leverage as time was going by. I apologize, guys. I'm trying to talk and make some sense. I'm also trying to log into something here real quick, so please bear with me for a second. 743-102. Oh, my goodness. You got to be kidding me. I can't log in because I left my cell phone out in my car last night that has my two-factor authorization on it. So I'm not going to get logged into this app. That's okay. It's not crucial. I just, let me see. I might even be able to go over here real quick. Let me see if we can pop this over here for a quick second. There we go. All right, that's going to be helpful. All right, so let me get out of here. Okay, so let's see if we can get some money transferred over here. Get rid of that X. Let's get over here and let's transfer some funds. What is going on here with this notification bar being right in the way? Here we go. So we're going to transfer. We don't have a ton on here, but we do have a few dollars. So we're going to transfer this $167 over, and that's going to give us, we got $177 to work with. So one of the things last week, I didn't take my own advice, and that was putting in some small trades with 3x leverage, because one of the things that we talked about, folks, I think you guys all know this, but Polygon is a good token to go back to this on. So for any of you that are not very versed in trading, when you trade with leverage, the amount of space that you have between the price that you executed the trade at and where you would get liquidated is easy to figure out. So let's just say for easy math, you did 10x leverage on Polygon here at 20 cents. Well, what is 10% of 20 cents? Roughly 2 cents. So it's 2.038. So it'd be slightly over 2 cents. But if you say 2 cents, you're going to be very close. And how do you come up with that? Well, 10 times 10 is 100. So if you've got 10x leverage and something drops by 10%, that would be 100% liquidated. So similarly, if you did 100x leverage, instead of having a 2 cent cushion, you would have 0.2 of a cent, because 0.2 of a cent times 100 is 20 cents. If you did 5x leverage, now you would get 4 cents, because 5 times 20 is 100, and 5% of 20 is 4 cents. So, 20 goes into 100 5 times, 5 goes into 20 cents, 4 cents. 4 cents times 5 is 20 cents. So if we place a trade on Polygon with 5x leverage, it would have to go down to 16 cents in order to get liquidated. If we go a little bit higher leverage, like let's say that we did 33% leverage, now it's basically, it's got a, 33% of 20 cents is about 6.6 cents. So now it would have to go all the way under 14 cents in order to get liquidated. And, as we see, this chart's not showing the crazy dip, from back a week or two ago, because this is definitely, in my opinion, a little low. When this thing did this crazy dip here, this is, you also got to remember when you're looking at it, that this is a spot chart. This is not a chart when you're trading leverage. On some of the exchanges, the liquidations that started taking place created a cascading effect. And I want to say that Polygon went all the way down to, I don't know how low for sure, but it was definitely lower than this. I mean, like, this is only showing 18 cents. But my point is, during most somewhat normal times, this thing ain't going back to, 14 cents. I think even 5x leverage and having a 16 cent cushion is actually, in my opinion, fairly responsible. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go over here to the chart. We're going to type in poll, and we are going to go over here to our isolated 10x and change that to 5x. And then what do we got here? 176 to work with. So let's split that up into a couple, 2 or 3 different tokens. So what, about 25% would be a little over a $40 bill. So let's go ahead and throw about $40 into this trade here at a 2034. We're going to long Polygon with 5x leverage. It's technically still just an open order. We're hoping that it just drops down a couple hundredths of a cent and executes. In the meantime, another one that had me that we were looking at was Solana. So we got Solana here at under 200. We want Sol USDT. So another, if we go back out here, I like looking at it on a little bit bigger chart here. But if we go to Solana, be the same thing, guys. If Solana is basically 200, if we do 10x leverage, then we're looking at basically, $19.70 is what we would be able to lose in price before we got liquidated. So if we round this up and say it's 200 at 10x leverage, we would have $20. If we do 5x leverage, we would have $40. So that would get us all the way down to 160 with 5x leverage. You can see here showing 178 there. It's showing 173 here. Dave P probably has a better idea of what it actually went down to. I think it went way, way, way down. Didn't it get down below $100 on the crash on October 10th when we had that crash? I think on leverage charts it went all the way down under 100. But something I want you guys to be aware of is those types of crashes, like that October 10th crash, was, a lot of people say it was the worst crypto crash in history. The last time we had anything even remotely like it was all the way back in March of 2020. So guys, yeah, we could have some ups and downs in the market. We could get a 10, 20, 30% retracement, but I don't believe we are going to get a massive liquidation like we did. I don't think, for one thing, I don't think there's anywhere near as much money in the market. There's not as many, not as many people to liquidate, for one thing. So I'm not going to base my strategy on the what if this thing crashes all the way down to, $73. The fact of the matter is, if it's going to crash all the way down to $73, no amount of protection is really going to help. You're getting liquidated. If this thing goes all the way from $197 down to, $77, you're in trouble, guys. So I'm going to base my projection on 5% again. I think that this thing dropping down to 160 is relatively unlikely. So we're going to change this to 5. Confirm. And then we're going to go here to 196. And now we've got 133 in there. So we're going to do more like 40%. That'll get us into the ballpark of where we want to be. Going to hit long here. Could have gone lower, Dave says. Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it could have gone lower. Critical says, did you find out how much the one of one card is worth? No, I have no idea. I need to do a better job of figuring that out, because in full transparency, I'm probably selling that baby. I like to collect stuff, but at the same time, I don't see myself, being a person that's gonna, have the time and the energy, and also, the funds that I want to use in that direction. I would much rather sell some of the more valuable cards and take that profit and put it into Texit Coin, put it into some of these trades and some of the things like this. So it looks like the Polygon trade executed. So as you guys can see here, we got $51 in there. We got in at 196.7886. And where is our liquidation price here? Our liquidation price, $158, guys. I like that. I think that there's a very strong likelihood that we can keep this trade in play for a while. And with 5x leverage, guys, we can still make a few dollars. If we go over here to this tool, this take profit stop loss tool, and we type in, let's say 500. $500, that gets us a $394 profit. We're almost at 8x at 500. This thing runs up to $1,000, and we turned $50 into a little over $1,000, and we're up about a 20x. So there's definitely still some money to be made here with a trade. And I just didn't happen to have a whole lot of money in this account. But this is definitely, if I was ready, so like I've got some money coming in tomorrow from my Texit Coin and some different things. if the prices are still like this tomorrow, I wouldn't mind going in a little bit more loaded for bear. Like I'd be pretty comfortable throwing, more like $500 at a trade like this. I could be wrong, but I think there's a relatively reasonable possibility that we don't see $158 Solana. You can see here, it looks like the Polygon trade executed right while we were talking. So, we got in this thing at 20.34 cents, and the liquidation on it is 16.42 cents, 16.42. If you go back through and look at Polygon historically over the last 4 or 5 years, other than during that crazy crash on October 10th, 16 cents has really been a bottom. It hasn't, I don't even think 16 cents has really been in play. If you look at the last year even, so we look at this last year, I don't think we're going to find a place, at least on this chart, where it's showing 16 cents. This is 18 cents here, April of 2025. Let's go out to that. Well, remember, this only goes back to, October of 23, but the lowest that it really has gotten down to is around 18 cents here. So I think that this is another one at 5x leverage that should be relatively easy to keep in play. And now, guys, if I really wanted to be safe, I could go in and put a ladder in, and I'm going to go ahead and put a third token in. But if I wanted to, I could put a ladder in on this. And what a ladder is where I make another trade. So let's go here. In fact, I'm going to show you guys. I can always X out of it. But let's go back to Polygon. So we see here that our liquidation price, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but our liquidation price is 16.42 cents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to change this to 16.55. And now I'm going to do this whole $82 here, create a long, hit confirm. And now we've got this backup order here. So guys, what this is going to do, if we take 5%, so 10% of 16 cents is 1.6 cents. Double that would be 3.2 cents. So let's figure about 3.2 cents. So now if this thing comes down and hits 16.55 and that $82 trade executes, you can see over here that we got, what did we get into this? $44. So $82 is almost double. So by putting in $82 at 16.55, what's 3.2 cents from 16.4? What is that, 13.2? With one ladder, we get all the way down to 13.2. So that would really shore in these trades. Same thing here with Solana. Solana is at 158. Let's call it 160. So that would get us $16 with 10x leverage, $32 with 5x leverage. So if we went back in and we subtracted $32 here from the 158, it's showing our liquidation at 158. If we subtracted, call it $30 to be safe, $30, we could go put in a ladder for about $100, and we'd be all the way down to 128. I'm guessing, Dave, you're kind of a Solana guy. I mean, do you think in your heart of hearts that $128 Solana is pretty unlikely? Relatively unlikely, unless there's some kind of catastrophic event. Like, that's not gonna, in my opinion, it running from 196 where it is right now all the way down to 128 would be pretty rough. I don't see that happening in any type of normal everyday up and downs. But I'd be curious, as to what your opinion is. What's crazy about this, guys, if with this strategy is I've only got $44.82, so $126 tied up in Polygon. I would have $150 tied up in this Solana trade. If I really wanted to be like a sicko, really safe, if you go down to 128 times 10 is 1280, multiply that times 2 because we're only doing 5x leverage. So that would give you 1280, and 1280 is 2560. We could literally go do another ladder at 128 and get our liquidation all the way down to about $105, $103 with one main trade and 2 ladders. And I'm not rooting for the market to go down, guys, but if these backup trades, like if a backup trade executed, it wouldn't break my heart, because to get $100 in on Solana at 160 instead of $50 at 196, I'd be okay with that. I'd also be okay with this Polygon. Like if it did drop down and the trade executed at 16.55, and I got another $82 in. So instead of having 44 in at 20 cents, I've got $120 in, $126 in at 16.55 cents. That'd be okay with me. So one of the things that I always try to do is set myself up to where I'm happy either way. If the trade takes off and just goes running for the hills, I'm happy. If the trade comes down and touches one of these ladders that I have in, I'm still happy, because now I get more money in at a lower cost basis. Let me show you guys this real fast too, so that you have an idea. So if you only had the money to do one trade, once again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to go up, but I would say that most experts consider $1,000 Solana to be a pretty good price target. Some say 500, some say 750. You might get the occasional outlier that thinks it's going to be more than 1,000, but I think if you go and watch 100 YouTube influencers that are talking about Solana, $1,000 or less is kind of where they're looking at Solana being during this bull market. So at a $200 price range, you've only got a 5x. We just talked about how Polygon has to do a 6x just to get back to $1.20, and it's got to do a 15x to get back to a $3 price point. So in retrospect, Solana was a $250 all-time high token during the last bull market, but people believe that it can get up to $500, $750, $1,000. So you're talking double its all-time high, triple or quadruple its all-time high. Polygon was a $3 token. So in order for it to go double its all-time high, it would have to get to $6. Triple would be $9, and quadruple would be $12. So if you want to look at some take profit prices, let's say that this goes to $3. We literally turned our $44 into $3,000 here, guys. It's a 68x at $3 if it goes back up to $3. If it just goes back to 120, it's still turning $40 into over $1,000. You get about a 20x. And of course, it's similar. If it does something crazy and it goes to $6, you've turned $44 into $6,300. And this is only at 5x leverage. Gosh, I could only imagine what this looks like at 10x leverage. So this is a trade that I am hoping I can keep in play for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months until this happens, until we get the rush in altcoin season. And what I believe will happen at some point in time, while this thing is down at 20 cents, even at 30 or 40 cents, I would still understand that there's some possibility that it could come crashing back. But Polygon gets up to 80 cents, $1, $1.20. I'm going to feel very, very confident that it's not coming back to these prices, and I'm going to have the ability to let this thing run and potentially turn into several thousands of dollars for a 40, for a $48 trade. Says Dave P says, I just don't see it going that low. With the SOL ETFs, no way it goes that low. That's what I like to hear. So that's there's a couple of trade ideas for you guys. I gotta get running. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully some of you come back next week and let me know what you guys did, if you took any of the things that you'd heard from other YouTubers from this channel today. Let's come back and compare notes. These trades should be in play next week. I'm looking forward to bringing these up for you next week, and let's see where they are at. And then real quick, what do I got? Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to go ahead and leave that one ladder trade in and call it a day. But man, it was sure good spending about 45 minutes with y'all today. I look forward to tomorrow, the Wednesday live stream, same time, same place, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So with that, folks, God bless you. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye for now.